Oh no, another spike in COVID-19 cases, and more lockdowns. Well, this second wave of COVID-19 hasn't been so good for crate digging. But fortunately, I've got plenty of albums to talk about here. Now I'll just plug in my trusty headphones and... Oh wait, that sounds different. Oh no! Well, looks like I've got a gear emergency. To make a long story short, my trusty pair of Sennheiser HD558 headphones suffered a tragic death in an electrical interference accident. Now, my first instinct was to look for replacement Sennheiser headphone drivers, but since the 558 has been discontinued, the cost of new drivers ended up being about the same as a new pair of phones. As a result, I started looking for a new pair of cans in the usual marketplaces. And as I looked through the headphones that were available, I started thinking it might be as good a time as any for a gear upgrade. And that's how I found these, my new pair of AKG K702 headphones, which I've had for the past few months, and I am mighty happy with. Let's talk about why. Well, first of all, I was able to get this pair like new from a very nice person just over the border in the United States for a very good price. K702s usually sell for $325 to $470 Canadian dollars, but I was able to get these for just over $250 Canadian. They didn't arrive in the original box, but they were carefully packaged and came with a nice cable upgrade. The first impression I get from looking at these cans is a professional, studio-grade piece of equipment, which is what you'd expect from a pair of cans that are explicitly called reference headphones made by Akustische und Kinogerätgesellschaft in Vienna. Yes, I know they were bought by Harman and then Samsung later, but that's a whole different story. Anyway, these large black cups with their silver trim and honeycomb-style casing are elegant and minimal at the same time, and more importantly, fit quite comfortably. These thick, velour-covered ear pads surround your ears very easily and fit to your head nice and snugly. This leather head strap gave me some concern when I first looked at it, because it looks almost too flimsily attached, but once I put it on, it turned out to be very solid on my head. The elastic attachments mean that the strap adjusts automatically to the wearer's head each time it's put on, which makes it a very easy fit. But despite this, the head strap is still the source of my one major complaint about the headphone's physical design. The thin strap works well, but leaves something to be desired in terms of comfort. I find you need to find the right angle with this strap for it to sit on your head comfortably. The first time I put it on, it seemed to dig into my scalp until I moved it forward. Once I found the right spot, I was able to wear the K702 comfortably. But I noticed when I've been wearing them for a little while, it's always the head strap that starts to feel uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, it's about the only part that starts to get uncomfortable. The ear cups are super cozy even after extended use. Your ears might just get a little sweaty after a while, but I think that's a constant with any kind of headphones. This is only a minor issue, but it would still be nice to have even a little bit of padding on the underside of the strap, and I don't see why it would be a problem. Well, okay, enough about physical aesthetics. It's time for the real question. How do they actually sound? The answer, in my opinion, is excellent. Now, I can't make a direct A-B comparison with my Sennheisers since they're out of commission, but based on my years of experience with the HD558 sound, the K702s struck me immediately as more transparent by comparison. Now, the HD558s are very transparent and detailed themselves, but the sound signature has a slightly emphasized bass that makes your audio sound that little bit warmer and colorful. It makes for very nice everyday listening. With the K702, the sound signature is very focused on balance and objectivity. The frequency response is much flatter, with no special emphasis on any part of the sound spectrum. And not only that, but each part is arranged with great clarity and detail. Essentially, the sound on the recording, as sent out by your amplifier, is exactly what you hear. Now for this reason, some people have described the K702's sound as sterile or clinical and not good for regular listening. But I don't see it that way, or should I say hear it that way. When I listened to these headphones for the first time, I was immediately impressed by the way they revealed details in music I was familiar with in greater clarity than before. It was actually shocking and impressive to me to hear both deep rumbling bass sections and sharp, thin, high treble notes in nearly equal clarity at the same time. Apparently, these phones achieve this detailed response thanks to their use of flat wire voice coils, which are used in some full-size speakers to allow for more density in the windings. AKG claims on their website that the K702 is the first headphone to use this winding style. The headphones also use something called a Varimotion 2-layer diaphragm. From what I understand, a speaker diaphragm with 2 layers allows it to reproduce various frequencies in a signal with less of a reaction time. As you might guess from what I've described, the K702 also gives you great stereo separation and a detailed soundstage, thanks to their very open design. Imaging is very clear, with each part of a recording well placed. For me at least, these headphones work excellently as both listening headphones and fine audio editing equipment. Now, I'd like to be able to demonstrate the sound of these headphones for the video, but there really isn't any way to do that without actually having you put on a pair. And as much as I might like to invite each and every one of you to my house so that you can try these on, that just isn't realistic. And it's even less advisable now given this present pandemic situation. So it seems like you'll just have to trust my word when I tell you that the K702 renders just about any style of music with exceptional detail and clarity across the sound spectrum. As I said before, what is on the recording is more or less what you get, which of course is a two-edged sword. These headphones will reveal fine details in a recording for you to enjoy, but they also reveal any and all flaws in a recording as well. Revisiting some albums or songs with the K702 has unfortunately revealed the ways that a few producers or engineers have mishandled the mastering on their recordings. Some tracks sound flatter or more distant when they don't have a more forgiving sound signature. And I've also noticed that some recent releases, particularly pop tracks, contain extremely short but nonetheless noticeable little dropouts or clicks in the audio. This could be due to level problems in the final mix, but I'm not sure. Of course, these are relatively infrequent, but they do show how exacting the headphones are in terms of resolution. Another thing I notice about these headphones is their higher impedance. The K702s have an impedance of 69 ohms compared to the Sennheiser HD558's 50 ohms, and it shows. I noticed that I had to turn the volume on most of my usual devices up to get the same volume. The difference is about 5 decibels in my estimation. I've also found it useful to turn the gain on my shit headphone amp from low to high, which is a pain in the ass because the gain switch on the Asgard 2 is on the back for some reason. But anyway, I guess my point here is that you should make sure you have a proper headphone amplifier or receiver before you get a pair of these, not just your regular PC audio jack. Speaking of jacks, I really like the cable connection that AKG has used here. These headphones use a 3-pin mini XLR as their connector, with a standard 1/8 inch plug that turns into a 1/4 inch on the other end. The mini XLR is real good because it is non-proprietary, which means people can make cables for the K702 really cheaply. This 3-meter cable I got was barely $20, and it's well built. Compare that to cables for the Sennheiser HD800 that sell for about $150. I wish more headphone manufacturers would use open components like these, but I guess that's just too much to ask when they can charge people hundreds of dollars for their specific patented connectors. Anyway, to sum up, I consider the AKG K702 an excellent reference quality headphone for people who want really clear and detailed sound without a huge budget. Relatively speaking. If you've invested in some good audio gear, these AKGs will let you hear a lot more of what your setup is capable of. I would recommend them if you're looking for a very clear and accurate pair of cans. However, if reference-grade analytical headphones aren't your thing, the Sennheiser HD600 is a good alternative, for a similar price. It's also very detailed and accurate, but adds that little bit of musicality and warmth to the sound signature that a lot of people like. And of course, if you're on a more limited budget, I still recommend the Sennheiser HD558 as a fantastic sounding pair of headphones for audiophiles on a budget. Of course, they've now been discontinued, but from what I understand, their successor, the HD559, is just as good. As long as you don't accidentally run a high amplitude 60 Hz current through the drivers, they'll give you years of enjoyment. Well, that's going to do it for this review. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it helpful, and now to appease the YouTube algorithm. If you liked this video, you can go ahead and like it and leave me a comment, or if you didn't, you can dislike it and tell me why. Also, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And if you really like what I do, you can leave me a tip on my Ko-fi page. The money helps fund the things that I do for this channel. Thank you all, and remember, stay safe as we get through the coronavirus pandemic. We're all in this together.